Hi, good evening. How are you?
Good evening.
Um, I couldn't hear you. Just give me a minute. Uh, mm, Wait a minute. Uh, yeah, could you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Good evening. No problem. So, how's life?
Good.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure also. Okay, let's get started. So we are kind of revisiting overall what we learned at business analyst, and we'll try to understand from the same presentation what we have shared. And let's try to basically build certain ideas how BA works, what should we do, what we must do, what we must do, those kind of scenario. So let's start on let's start on understanding the overall business analyst part of it. About me, I have around 26 years of plus experience. I'm Ravindra Pandey, and basically I'm doing corporate training for almost last 16 odd years. So I'm a professional trainer. I do training on various tracks, including various certification tracks, like for project management institute, estimation technologies, PCI, that's security certification guidance, and of course the BA and the data science part of it. So let's try to understand what BA does as an role, right? Because that's what we are trying to aspire, the skills, the overall knowledge base, and overall understanding of how it works. So let's start with understanding. As in person, business analyst is a kind of analyst role. Let's try to understand what do you mean by analyst. So we analyze things, right? As in human, as in typically what you can say, evolutionary evolutionary type of homo sapiens, that's what they call it, right? Because evolution is what we conceive, what we bank on, what we really proud of. Because the animals, they haven't evolved, right? Be it something like dinosaur, be it like fish, be it like anything. Even there are many animals who have bigger brains than us. They have much more what you can say, intelligence than us, if you trying to understand the capacity. But as in human, we analyze, we learn from our mistake, we learn from others mistake, and that's the best part of it, and that's how we grow, right? So how does analyst work? As an analyst, I need to understand what are at stake, what I'm trying to address, what I'm trying to get, or how improvements I need to put in. So there are two things here: analyze the situation as is, and analyze the situation to be. So there are two aspects of overall analysis to it. One is what you can say, understanding the situation as is. That's what we normally call as a requirement gathering. And analysis situation to be, that's basically the strategic analysis part of it. So normally you'll start your career with requirement analyst, gathering type of analyst. So you'll be part of a team where you might visit client. Nowadays due to COVID, we normally have a video call, conference call, or various type of calls. So we are working remotely. So what are things we need, working remotely? We need to understand in depth. We need to spend some more time in knowing what the other person is trying to say, his background, his overall idea of the new solution he's trying to build. And I think that's the particular predominant area which we need to concentrate on. Because unless and until we could concentrate on what he's trying to say, from which background, from which type of business he's catering us. So to gather a requirement, we need to understand the person, the person's environment, what is coming from, the personal business, where he's trying to enhance, he want to build the solution for, and so on and so forth. So that's a kind of prime aspects of requirement gathering. We need to understand the requirement. To understand the requirement, gathering the bulleted point he or she shared with you, that's the most critical, crucial part, right? But other than that, as a business analyst, as a person, as an evolutionary human being, we'll try to understand what the other person is trying to include in the overall requirement. And that's the art of the overall business analyst is, right? So let's try to understand from this really self-explanatory diagram mentioned in the BA book. BA book is a kind of bible which we refer to normally whenever we're talking about something like business analysis, something like the process, the formats of it, right? I'll again share that PDF within the group because I've shared it earlier. So I'll share it again after this class tomorrow. So just go through it. Whenever you have time, try to refer to that document because that's the generic document or the mature document followed all over the globe. So if you have any confusion, we can discuss this in a class, right? So BA book is BA book is basically kind of Bible for us as a business analyst, right? So let's try to understand from this diagram what they are trying to guide us, right? So how do we start? We normally get oriented in the sense we try to analyze the situation. We try to understand the personal background, who is going to share the requirement with us, um, who's going to elevate his business to a level where we are going to help him out, right? The normal sample we understand to throughout this course is basically I am working as a business analyst in a matured IT organization called Infosys. I believe everybody know Infosys, right? Anybody who haven't heard of Infosys?
I heard about the company. Yeah, I heard the name.
Right, right. Anybody who haven't heard. So I'll take it that everybody know what you mean by Infosys, right? So let's try to understand because this background is important because where you work and how do you build your overall thought process is really crucial, and that's how we're going to start building our thought processes, right? So I'm working in a matured IT company called Infosys, right? They are at a good maturity level in terms of their processes, in terms of their overall roles and responsibility categorizations, the scope and the overall templatization of our work, right? So we'll discuss all these things whenever the time comes. Let's try to understand as a human being, whenever you join some matured IT organizations, you have your role clearly defined, and they have a program called induction program. So whenever you join such company, they'll train you for those templatization, for this organization culture, or overall how they work, how you're going to fit in as an employee, right? We call it as a cog in the wheel, right? So employee is a cog in a wheel. So how do you fit in? You need to get understand with the other cogs, other spokes, or the way you want to specify it. So as an BA, I'll joining a team where I'll get what I need to do, what are the documents I'm filling rather than starting from scratch. So your work is pretty much 30 to 50% done. You have to just do the 50% work, and this is a discipline because then you have the quality. At an organization level, we are talking about discipline. We are talking about understanding the environment, adding my value to it as an artist rather than much going in a scientific way or a laborer's way. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to share the matured organization's background to you where me as an analyst is going to work. And this is a sample we will basically explain throughout this training program. So understanding this example is important. So I'm working, I've joined Infosys as a company as a business analyst, right? Day one, they'll give me some induction program. That's what they call. So the way I joined the employee base at Infosys, they train me on various, organizational cultures, the timings, overall, how the employee should work, must do, mustn't do, and those kind of scenario, where the parking is, and all those thing kind of scenario. Then in the last leg, when I have induction to my team called business analyst team, they'll tell me, so what are the templates you're going to use, what are the three or four things you'll be doing day by day, right? That's the thing they share with you. So these things are basically including the templates where you're going to work for. So template is a document where I'm just adding my value to it and whatever the artistic work required. Otherwise everything is addressed by the infrastructure provided by the company itself. Okay, let's take a simple example. My sales manager got a lead from a company called insurance company called State Farm, which is also a mature IT company. Lead in the sense, this is a basically understanding of a new business or a uh, he was trying to call a couple of companies to understand their need for a new software solution, new IT solution. So State Farm's VPHR replied to him saying, hey boss, we need to enhance our attendance system because the way we are looking at, we have a couple of problems. within with our attendance management system. We want to move it to online 24/7, and we want to automate it overall. Okay, that was a thought process. So he said, okay, okay, yes, VPHR, thanks for this lead. Let me come to you and we'll discuss in depth, right? So then he arranges this what I can say, Zoom meeting, Google meeting, or whatever ways and means the organization uses, right? So he arranges this Zoom meeting with this VPHR and couple of his representative. You and sales manager is a part of the Zoom meeting, and the meeting starts. So what we normally do as in business analyst, we try to understand the requirement he or she is going to share, and then try to understand the background of it. Then try to understand the company, why and how type of those scenario. Okay, that's the prime work I do. I gather requirement. I gather the requirement. I understand the requirement. I elicit the requirement. I evolve the requirement to a technicality so that I can give this documentation to a development team. That's the work I do normally. That's the overall what BA does, right? Let's try to understand from BA's perspective. I So whenever I go meet, dine, wine, whatever it may be, so the communication of gathering requirement can be anything. It can be Zoom meet, Google meet, personal meet if it's possible, or so on and so forth. So there, let's try to understand a scenario where we have a Zoom meet. So what you do, you normally record the audio, or you will request them to record the meeting and get the meetings recorded to you so that you can refer afterwards. This is a need because while talking we tend to miss point, and it happens with everybody, not in you or any business analyst in particular, because the psychology says we normally miss 30% of whatever the other is saying, because of we have our own background, baggage, whatever we think it through, right? So there is a psychological challenge which we are addressing, so that by getting that recording, so whatever the requirement has been shared has to be captured 100%. That's my first aim, that's my first goal, right? And let's try to understand this in depth, because if you can do it, you're well protected in terms of your work, your roles and responsibility. So let's try to understand how do you do. In good old days, we used to record that these meetings. Means we used to have those small tape recorder. You've seen with many reporters, right? So every BA used to have those voice recorders. Nowadays you can record in a phone as well. Means if you're really feeling bad about asking somebody, just start the phone recorder or the audio recorder of your phone. Every phone has it as a mic and speaker. You can just gather that audio file and you can play it whenever you need to replay it. So as a BA, I'll start recording the audio file on the phone, because the audio is what's at what we need basically to refer to, so that we shouldn't or we mustn't miss any requirement due to the background noise, or due to quickly spoken words, due to some cultural pronunciation challenges, and this happens. So that's why we normally record this meeting. And whenever we record this meeting, we also get something called minutes of meeting. Now, who does minutes of meeting is not is not decided. Normally, who calls the meeting takes the minutes of meeting, and it depends on who schedules the meeting, who addresses the logistic, will share the minutes of meeting with everybody. Now, what is minutes of meeting? Minutes of meeting is basically a document where we we try to collect the points we've discussed, we try to collect the action items, means whatever the consecutive step we need to take after this meeting, so that the meeting is successful, right? So and then certain omissions, assumptions and those scenario as well. So minutes of meeting in normally will be shared to you with the client, because client is trying to understand how we can work together to build an attendance management enhancement solution, right? So he one of the representatives of a VPHR might create a minutes of meeting, and that document will come to you. Okay, so with this minutes of meeting and my audio recording, I'll try to create something called requirements shared by the clients to me, right? So after collecting this requirement, there could be a list of 8 to 9 requirement or 10 to 20 requirement, depending on the vision, the overall understanding of a problem, understanding of that solution, the technological advancement available at that time, and so on and so forth. So what I as a BA, what I'll try to do, I'll try to build a list of requirement, list of functionality required by State Farm to be included in the next system. Could we understand what I'm trying to say? Any confusion at this moment?
No.
Okay. Have you understood, Swati?
Yes, I'm good. Thank
Okay,
you.
great, no problem. Could you please explain in your word what do you mean? How that overall, example which I'm trying to discuss. What are the parts have you understood till now?
Yeah, business analyst is the person who takes the requirements from stakeholders and try to execute the requirements for developer team.
No, execution might not be the right word. Try to create a list of requirements. Let's go it there, right?
Okay.
And try to
Mhm.
fill in some templates. Now, I'm going to come to the template, but first and foremost, my job as a business analyst is to collect all the requirements, right? There shouldn't
Mhm.
be any leakages. There shouldn't be any missing of a requirement. See,
Mhm.
requirement, there are a couple of types of requirement. These are functional, non-functional. We'll see to that how these differs. But getting the requirement, listing the requirement is the most crucial part. And
Mhm.
the foremost thing which we should worry about, not missing a single of them. That's the most important part here. Okay, could you understand this? Okay, let's go ahead. I believe. So again, I'll repeat for everybody. We are trying to build a requirement document for the meeting, which I had with my sales manager whenever I gone and visit State Farm's office. Right?
Mhm.
As a what I can say example, I'm trying to build here. Okay, let me get this thing. Okay, and the sample is crucial because we're going to build a thought process on the basis of how and what, and then how it's get attached to a practical scenario. This is the practical scenario which we're trying to discuss. So getting all the requirement is the most crucial part in this process. Okay, nowadays meetings are online, so you can easily record in your own phone, or they can provide you the recording because it's done normally, it's done automatically. So you can have that recording and you can play it to build a correct and crisp total requirement document in totality. I shouldn't miss a single requirement. That's the most important part here. Okay, let's go ahead. What these requirements do, they create or they define a scope. They define a scope of a problem as well as solutions up to a great level. Okay, now these requirements are just a list of functionality mostly. I want to do this thing, that thing, this will be better, that will be bad, plus I want to have this, plus I don't want to have that, and these kind of scenario. So let's try to build this scenario, build this example to a finality level so that we can discuss this thing in depth. Okay, let's say the VPHR, let's put a label to it. Let's call him Tom, right? So this Tom, Mr. Tom VPHR from State Farm, talks about improvement in his HR system. So how does that actually converts, how does actually get to me? He says, I want to build a HR system from our manual recording entry as of today. What happened as of today at State Farm? There are guys coming and signing a register with a supervisor validating their photo ID. So that if Ravindra Pandey is signing the register, he'll check the photo ID of Ravindra Pandey so that he can understand this is that person and he's signing against his name, right? Sometime what happens, this supervisor can be on a phone with his family, girlfriend, whatever it may be. So he try to miss certain things. So the guy who is signing can sign for multiple attendees, so that other attendees have to pay the salary, because as far as my records they are present, right? So I'm trying to stop these leakages so that one person, one attendance, and his only attendance. So how do you do it? There are some technical solutions available which we are trying to adopt. So you, Infosys, as a technical partner, you're going to suggest these solutions to State Farm to make a foolproof solution for attendance management. Anybody have any confusion at this moment? Okay, I'll take everybody's understanding it, and we are basically good to go. Okay, and these type of requirements I list it down in my Excel sheet, Word, pen, paper, wherever I'm comfortable with, right? So I build this scope. I define the requirement for a state from within this meeting. So as in business analyst, I'll try to analyze those requirements. Somebody might have suggested to have a biometric system attendance. What is biometric system attendance? Everybody will put their finger on a on a sensor, where he or she will be identified by the system, and the system take a note of what time that person have attached the put the finger on the sensor, so that the time, the name of a person is recorded in the system. This is an automatic way of doing it, and this also opens the door so that that person can enter. So whenever a person enters and get out, I'll have those records in my system. Okay, now there are some challenges here. Now one person can enter, or he can put his finger and he just leave the office from there itself. It can happen. So there are certain leakages in some system that can be suggested by a BA, or that can be suggested by the Infosys technical team, where we say, okay, so biometric is not a foolproof solution. Let's try to build some good solution. Let's try to build some precise solution. These type of suggestions can come from business analyst as well. So if you ever work with attendance system, we have to be vigilant, we have to be suggestive, we have to be forthcoming in these things. And as an BA, we normally work with very senior persons across the organizations. So let's try to understand the scenario which we were discussing. I'm going with a sales manager of Infosys to meet a State Farm's VPHR, which is quite senior person, right? So here I'm trying to connect two different organizations via a new solution, new engagement, and overall start a new relationship between these two organizations, and years to follow. This is how it happens normally. So whatever me as an BA share my knowledge or support that scenario of building a solution will result in my appreciation, because this is how it works, right? The more I put in my efforts, the more appreciations, the more what I can say, awards and recognition I will get. That's how it works in a scenario. And as an BA, which is quite visible position, they normally have the maximum number of awards or maximum number of appreciation, because we normally work with all senior type of people day on day in day out basis. Okay, so let's try to do this correctly, do this with the most diligent way we can achieve this thing. Okay, let's try to understand this. So after listing down a requirement, I'll add my value to it. So I'll try to do a research. I'll go on Google and try to search. Okay, what do you mean by attendance management system? Okay, these things. So there are some iris scanners also available, which can replace these biometric scanners. Okay, so that solution will be much better, because nobody will get the eye out to get an attendance done, right? So that's a normally kind of foolproof solution which I can suggest to the client, and I list down these things. Now we'll come to a part where whenever I'm sharing a document with a client, there should be organizational logo, there should be some background, there should be some overall nitty-gritties which are already done. And the organization, Infosys, as in mature RT organizations, they will give you something called template. So where do you write this requirement? You write this requirement, whatever you written down, or you type this requirement in some document called system requirement specification. Now, what is system requirement specification? It's a document template given by your manager to you, saying ki, hey BA, whatever you gather as a requirement, just fill it in chapter 1 under the category of business requirement summary. And what I'll type in this 10-15 different requirement which I have gathered under business requirement summary. Okay, we'll share this template, means for this exercise as well, I'll share this template with you so that you can go through that template and try to understand what are the things as an BA I'll put in, right? The first we are talking about business requirement summary. These are the requirements shared by client with you. Now, there are many ways how the requirement travels to you. It can be as simple as an email coming to you and copied to sales manager. He's saying, hey BA, as you know, we had a discussion with sales manager, and this is what I'm thinking as a new solution requirement. Okay, and there could be some 9 to 8 functionality written down by that VP HR. So there's no discussion or online meet. Then we need to understand the requirement and include it in a SRS, and try to schedule a meeting to understand in detail about the background, the business requirement, and the other part if you feel there's a need to. Okay, or this is done by the sales manager because he see it's good to personally meet and greet, so that there are some informal channels of collecting information as well. So as a BA, I want to create this requirement in totality. This means informal, formal, functional, non-functional. There are quite a few types of requirements which we normally create. I don't want to throw many heavy words at you right now. Just try to understand. We will collect the requirement in totality. I shouldn't miss a single requirement which is coming from client whenever I'm in a meeting or whenever I'm in an online call, a conference call, whatever it may be. Okay, and these requirements build a scope. As we were talking about, this is basically an attendance management system enhancement. So as in BA, I will label this SRS as a solution for attendance management enhancement system for State Farm from Infosys, right? This is the title of my SRS, System Requirement Specification. Now what this document do? This document collects the requirement from the client, and we are trying to share this document with the team afterwards. Now we'll try to understand how this process works overall, and what are the additions, what are the value additions BA can do to gather requirement. Okay, so we'll try to build a formulate BA plan. As a person, I'll plan this out. How should I plan this out? Okay, I'll open the Word document called SRS template. I typed in those 8-10 requirements which I got from VPHR of a State Farm, and then try to understand what the solution name can be. Yes, as in BA, normally you have the authority, you have the right to label such solution, such new project, or such service which State Farm, which Infosys is going to provide to the State Farm for installing this solution, for creating this solution, for envisioning this solution, or elaborating this solution. Any confusion? I believe you could understand what I'm trying to say here, right? Any confusion? Anybody want to ask anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, you're good. Let's go back. Rupanjali ma'am, could you put in your word what we are trying to do here?
Yeah, sure.
Please.
So you are talking about the requirement gathering, right?
Right, perfect.
Yeah, so whatever the requirements we will get from the client, we have to put in our word, and we have to make the, fill the SRS template.
Right. Could you guide me why we should use this SRS? Why I can't create my own document?
Uh, mm, mm,
These are the
maybe I
important
think
because
something, yeah.
what we are talking about doing things qualitatively, and as in matured organizations, my organization supported with me with all the templates, all the support I need as an BA, right? So you're not alone in the world.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
There could be 2 different BAs with you as well, but we are considering, for the sake of understanding, we are considering I am as an only BA going with the sales manager. Okay, what does template do? Template defines the process more. Template unifies the process, so that if any other BA is also working on a document, he'll have the same template. So there should be name at one place, there should be logo of company, there should be position of a person, there should be some some other thing which an organizations need whenever you're sharing a documents with other organizations. So there are some copyright information, there are some non-disclosure clause. So we as an organization, Infosys, when I shared a document with State Farm, which is another organizations, there are a couple of legal requirements and all those blah 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 things. So I'll include all those things in a template, so that as an BA, you will not burden with collecting all these things whenever you're trying to think more on requirement lines, right? So organization supports me in a whole. So I am quite safe and secure of filling that template, and that template will be given to me by the organization itself. It can be from my reporting authority, it can be a PM, it can be a sales manager. Depending on the organizational hierarchy, the BA will work in in accordance or in collaboration with all these senior people, right? Okay, Rudra, could you please explain what do your take on this example? What do you feel about this example, and how much you understood?
Yes. So it's about getting right, the goal, I want to say, from the client, and then putting it into words that could describe to the team and the developer.
No,
Right?
I couldn't hear you. Could you please come again?
So I guess it's taking the client's words or requirements, and we're using that to we're trying to translate that to the developers or the team that's working on the product or service.
Okay, that's the kind of I think you explain the complete scenario. But yes, I was going step by step to it. Okay, so requirement we gather and we have to hand it over to the technical team. That's the end goal. End goal. Once you hand it over to the team, my work as an BA is over. But let's try to understand, how do I do it effectively? How do I do it most diligently, so that I have all the appreciation in the world? That's what I'm trying to do here, right? So we fill in this template, because template is a pre-formatted document which I have to create as an building system requirements for a given technical description of a requirement to the team, so that they can start working on it and they can build that product, project or services, depends on the requirement, right? And as an BA, I am the owner of this SRS document, which is I am going to release it. I'll first get it approved from my reporting authority, and then I'll distribute this thing to the client as well as my team within Infosys, so that we can do a discussions. So we can add value to it. We can build better solution, stable solution with all the technological advancement currently I have on my table, and I'll attach this thing to this document, right? Now, how I will do it? If I'm not never worked on something called attendance management system, I'll go to my reporting authority, let's say a project manager, and ask him, hey project managers, do I have any SME, subject matter experts or center of excellence within Infosys? In Infosys we have team called center of excellence. So what does center of excellence do? These are the domain experts. What domain experts? Domain experts, they normally work in one functional industry, like banking, like human resources, like logistic, shipping, railroads, airlines, hotel industry, and so on and so forth. So these COEs, Center of Excellence, or sometime it's called subject matter experts, I'll try to ask SME or COE from Infosys team to help me to build this solution. Now this guy will come to you and try to make you understand these 8-9 requirements, how they can be transferred to the best technology available in the market. So I'll request for some senior HR person, or I'll request some attendance management system solution architect from my COE or SME pool. Okay, in discussion with my PM, he'll fix up a meeting with such person, and then you can ask your question. Hey, SME, hey COE, could you please suggest the best technological solution available for these requirements? You'll read out the requirement to him, or you'll share the document, whatever you worked on, to him, which is in a draft stage. What is draft stage? Draft stage is basically a stage where I'm preparing something which is not final, which is not finite enough. So what I've did, I just try to add the value to the SRS document with filling first chapter called System Requirement Summary, right? Is there any confusion at this moment? So
No.
as a BA, my final goal is build complete SRS. but I'm doing it step by step. And SRS is a template coming from my organizations where I work for. In this case, we are taking a scenario of me as an BA working in a Infosys. Okay, now I formulate my BA plan. I planned out my activities, so I meet this COE and SE, SME. I'll try to understand and refine the requirement. What is refine the requirement? I try to validate the requirement, because somebody might say, I want the biometric or iris scanner on my table. Okay, anybody can say, anybody can mention their wish within the client team. That's their, what you can say, right. And I'll note it down, no problem. But when I'm validating a requirement, I'll say, okay, I don't want to have iris scanner on such person table. That doesn't make sense for the solution. And I might put my, 2 or 3 sentences as a reason. Now, where I validate these requirements in the first chapter of SRS. So what I do, I normally put a comment there, ki Mr. So and so, or the role so and so have been have mentioned her or his wish list, as in he or she wants an iris scanner on his desk, because of during the discussion it came like we can have an iris scanner to support the attendance. But this doesn't sound beneficial, or this doesn't solve the problem in a better way. So what we'll do, we'll put the iris scanner on the door itself, so that whenever somebody comes, he scan his iris, so that I'll get the time and the person's name in my record, and I can mark his attendance or presence as per the system rules, system or solution rules, right? So those kind of things, these kind of requirement validations, me as an BA, I do before giving it to the technical team, right? So I build this validated requirement, okay, and then with the support of this SME COE, I try to formulate a high level business solution. This is what we call HLD, high level diagram. Why it's high level? It's a bird's eye view, because I'm trying to show what the solution will look like in a conceptual way. I'll have a requirement box, I have a solution box. So for 8 to 10 requirements, I have 8 to 10 solution, or I have 20 solution, depending on my thought process, depending on my discussion with COE or SME. After validating the requirement, I build a high level diagram, which is a bird's eye view of a solution. Okay, this is a normal process, and this is a necessity of a BA to understand the solution in depth. Now, a step of additions into this is building a use case diagram. We're going to learn how to build HLD, how to build use case diagram, and the other floras and faunas of the SRS. Okay, that we're going to do step by step in next consecutive days, right? So let's try to have something called use case diagram. Now, what use case diagram does, it tries to analyze a singular functional executions. So when I say I'll install iris scanner, the step in installing iris scanner could be procure iris scanner, try to procure an iris scanner from a market, try to build or try to understand how this iris scanner works, how this iris scanner is going to connect to the other system which is existing in State Farm, because I'm suggesting this solution to the State Farm, right? So here I'm trying to include that thing in solutions, so that I will build overall understanding and clear even validation or clarifying the requirement is my job as an BA. I'll try to validate as well as clarify the requirement at a level where I must not, this is really advisable, this is what I propose, and those kind of scenario. So I am helping to build a solution, I am helping business, I am helping Infosys, I am helping cell manager to build and implement these solutions. So it's my job to understand the vision, build this vision. So I need to understand each and every of these functionality in depth. Does that make sense? Means what I'm saying, does that make sense? Let's try to understand from Swati. What do you feel?
Yeah, we will try to figure out the solution
right? Perfect. We'll try to
And
build the solution by analyzing each and every of this functionality, right?
yeah, yes.
Okay, great. So how do we do that? We draw something called use case diagram, and that's what we're going to learn, how to draw a use case diagram. We're trying to build exceptions to this requirement. We are trying to build more technological advancement if we can add the value to make the whole solution easy, efficient, and blah blah things, right? So we're going to understand how to build use case diagram. Then also I do some research and research for the solutions technological requirement. In this scenario, we are talking about iris scanners. So in the market, there are dime a dozen iris scanners available, so that whoever comes to State Farm as an employee will have the attendance done without any leak, without any bypass solution, right? That's what my aim. So how do I do? I have suggested them to implement an iris scanner. Okay, so this iris scanner, there could be many available. So then I'll ask this COE or SME, hey COE, could you please suggest the best available iris scanner? So COE will say, yes, yes, yes. In the last year, I believe we've given a solution, and that time we used Philips iris scanners, and then we use some Sony iris scanners as well, because we did something for big organizations where we use Sony iris scanner because they had the request for it, special request for it. So he said, okay, then why Philips, why not Sony? What he'll say, Philips is $100 an item, $100 per per iris scanner, and Sony is $400 per iris scanner. He said, then you can ask him, why such a difference in cost? So he'll say, with the Sony scanner, there could be some free software, there could be some good software, but the major reason is Sony scanner can scan the light blue type of eyes very effectively, which Philips sometimes fails. But Philips does the overall attendance, or does the validations if you do it 2-3 times, so it's not a complete failure, and it's cheap. So it's okay, then I'll suggest Philips because it's 1/4 of the cost or 1/3 of the cost, depending on the exact scenario. We are trying to understand this scenario because I want to make sure what BA actually does on the ground, and we'll basically try to do those things. We'll gets our hand dirty. We'll learn how to build this HLD, how to build this use case diagram, what is how to fill in the SRS, how to build the other supporting item. Like, we need to understand, we need to build this research, and you need to mention this thing in my research Excel sheet most probably, so that why we should go for a Philips, why we should go for Sony, and those things. So in a solution, I might suggest 1 Sony, 3 Philips, and the way I'm thinking of solution, because this is my baby. I am creating these solutions via this document. I am representing the solutions, which is the Infosys is going to give it to State Farm with all these channels which are available to me. So this is my baby. This is how I build a solution. And this thought process of understanding requirement and building this requirement, translating it to a technical team, is what the BA does on a ground. That's it. If you can do this best, you will be the best BA in the world, and you'll be getting appreciated day by day because of all these value additions, all these suggestions which came from you. After meeting such senior people, you will be quite a visible personality within both of the organizations, within Infosys as well as State Farm. Okay, so this is really good critical role. Critical in the sense because you normally working with all the top bosses. They have their ways and means to get things done. So normally BA work with these senior people, and they are normally on track, because otherwise this person will push them to run on the track and those scenarios. So you normally in schedule those things. But yes, you need to put in your efforts in terms of understanding solution, in terms of addressing all the leakages you as a person might encounter, might have in your work. Okay, and that's done by this templatization, that is supported by this templatization, so that whenever I work, I'll try to calculate, I try to analyze, I try to collect all the requirements which I normally put it in a SRS. Okay, so this is how it works for a typical BA. Let's try to understand how to check these things, how to validate these things. So there are certain checklists which also we're going to learn from the QA QC capsule of our training. from our BA's the Scrum capsule of our training, so that I shouldn't miss a single item, right? The deliverables from a BA is normally an SRS, HLD, high level diagram, and use case diagrams, and supporting Excel sheet or tables. That's what we normally call in our day-to-day life. But we need to present this thing in the best possible way, right? So how to present in the best possible way, that we are going to learn. Okay, use case diagram is a bit technical tool, but yes, we'll learn that. And for that we might learn some additional things as well. So how the use case diagram came into existence, what I should do, what I shouldn't do, and those kind of scenario. So this is overall the progression of a training, progression of a BA. That's what we're going to understand in depth in the next few days. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions for me? Anybody can feel the challenge? Madhuri madam, could you please, introduce yourself, because I believe you are new to the, group. Madhuri Shevlikar, right? Could you hear me, ma'am? Yeah, please. Could you please introduce yourself? Like, what have you done? What is your background?
I am a housewife.
Okay.
I didn't do anything in IT yet.
What's your educational?
I am graduate in science, BSc in India. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hi. Looks like Ravindra sir is on mute. We are not able to hear him.
Sir.
Oh, okay.
Pardon me. Sorry. So, we normally don't go on, click on cameras. Yeah, we had planned for that, right? Sometime, yeah, let's have a class with cameras on so that we'll see each other.
Yes, sorry about
Okay.
that. First time
Yeah,
I
no, no.
joined, don't know.
Madhuri ma'am, we normally don't do that because, first we'll try to understand the technical challenges. So I need to understand your background so that, I can be more forthcoming, more, understanding about your background as well. So if you could please share what you did in terms of education, in terms of, if you have any work experience, that would be great help for us.
I did work as assistant teacher for 7-8 years.
Wow, great. You're
In
from
preschool.
learning domain. That's really good.
Thank you.
And what subject were you teaching, ma'am?
In preschool, there is no such a subject.
Okay, you're teaching in preschool. Wow, most challenging job, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we normally keep analyzing day in, day out. So you might be better analyst than most of us. Let's try to understand from that point as well. So what have you understood what analyst does day in, day out? I believe you joined a bit late.
I just joined, so I don't know before what
Okay.
happened. I will ask Rudra and he will tell me, and then
Okay. Otherwise, we'll share this recording also, ma'am. Please
yes,
have a look at from
that would be
start so
great.
that, whenever we have a next class day after tomorrow, we'll revisit these things. These are
Okay.
important because, this is the base what BA does day in, day out. What we do, we normally collect requirements. We visit the client. Normally, we don't visit because normally everybody due to COVID, they try to maintain the safe distance and all those things. So we normally do this similar call like Zoom call or Google Meet or, conference call or something like that sort. So we try to collect requirements. We try to type this requirement in a template in a document, Word document called system requirement specification. Let's not go to the labels because these are standard label across the overall business analyst world. So I'll try to collect these requirements in a document. Then I'll make sure these requirements are in total. So I haven't missed anything during the discussions, during the call, during the Zoom meeting or whatever it may be. So I normally try to record it. I can record it in a, on my phone itself. I can record in my, laptop as well. Okay, so these are the simple things which going to learn in the next, for next few days, so that I could be really good business analyst, right? And we'll try to learn some tools or techniques which we do overall, to make sure what I do is completely foolproof with the, whatever the best quality available. Okay, so for that we try to fill in this template called system requirement specifications, and then I draw some diagrams called use case diagram. We'll learn how to do this. This is a bit technical, so we might learn some background diagrams, how the use case diagram could be drawn effectively and intelligently. Then we'll learn something called Excel sheet, how to build tables, what you mean by data points, how these data points are researched and collected, how we can represent this research point effectively to all the teams. Because as an BA, I'm a critical person. I'm trying to be a pipe between, a communication link between two big organizations. I normally work with really senior person, so I have to be really good at my job. So there are templates given to me which I will use, I will build. There are certain things which I need to do, like HLD diagrams, high level diagrams, build this requirement into a solution, right? So for this, we will learn how to do that step by step, and we'll try to understand. We'll do some hands-on experience as well, so that whatever I do, I'll practice it before going to the job, before going to the interview, right? And that's how we do it. Any question for me at this, Madhuri ma'am?
No.
Okay, great. And please feel free to keep asking questions if you have any confusion, or if you couldn't understand anything. That'll be great. And please don't hold anything for you, right? This is an open forum. We will discuss day in, day out.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, no problem. You can mute yourself. Even if you don't, no issues from my side. Okay, let's go ahead. So I believe you understood this diagram represented in a book called BA book. I'll share that book with you today after this class in the group, so that we can read it. It's a kind of Bible. It's a technical book. So I don't expect you understand each and every word of it. Even if you don't, you can ask me the questions. And even if I don't know, I can research and come back to you. But overall, that book is kind of Bible used by every senior BA, or really enhanced BA workings. So it's a kind of whatever the dream we want to achieve. So there are many things which we learn throughout this training program, which is in line with the BA. And every BA don't do each and everything. There are certain things which are changed, which are modified, which are enhanced. Like the template we talked about, right? In good old days, BA used to start typing the Word, Microsoft Word document for the SRS from the first point onwards. But now we provide template, because the processes have been matured. The processes have been evolved to a level where I don't want to be you to be an author. I want you to be a business analyst. So just be business analyst. That's how the role is crisp, clear, and with no leakages, no extra burden to the BA. And that's why this is the right time to go into the BA career, or start the career of a BA, right? Whatever we use, we normally use just our brain and these couple of tools which will support our thinking process, which will make our thinking process much clearer, much aligned to the business. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions for me at this moment? Okay, about me, I've told you. Let's go ahead. Okay, and there's a Richa Saxena madam who is going to teach us the Scrum, Agile Scrum part of this training. So that we'll try to understand from her how the Scrum meetings, how the Agile project management methodology is going to get implemented for us. Because wherever we're going to join, we are going to use on this methodology in particular. Okay, and then we'll learn some more as well. So let's go ahead. So let's try to understand how the analytics works overall. Analysis is a word. Analytics is basically the process we are talking about. So what we gather data, we gather requirements, we gather wish list, right? And we build something called business insight, business solutions, right? Business insight is basically strategic line for the business vision of a solution, right? Now I want to build a solution. So what I'll do, I'll build the complete solution, right? And that's how the analysis work. So a typical analyst take the business requirement from a client and build to a solution and share that with the technical team to start producing it. That's the ball game. That's the end-to-end work as what we do as an analyst, right? Let's try to understand step by step how I do it. Now, when I talk about requirement, there could be some good data, there could be some garbage data, there could be some messy data, right? Because the data is normally never qualified. So as a business analyst, I have to validate, I have to qualify such data. So if somebody says, I want the ID scanner on my table, does that make sense? No, we are going to unnecessarily waste that, part of the overall acquisition just for the sake he want. We won't do it. There has to be have some business requirement. There has to have some business solution in place to address all such smaller requirement, right? So for that, I have to validate the requirement. So I have to remove the messy data, the garbage data, and get the good data transferred to the business insight, transferred it to the solution building process. Does that make sense? Anybody have any confusion on these big words? See, learning this big word is a part and parcel of our BA process, because unless and until you know the meaning of these things, discussion can be a bit challenging. So try to learn these type of words with me. You can really build certain learning mechanism. You can just go and search on a Google what this data means, what this requirement means, what is business insight means. That's also you do, or you can directly ask me. That's the simplest way, right? So if you have any confusion, please feel free to ask. Okay, now what we are saying, data is the requirement, right? So whatever data I collect is a requirement. Then as a business analyst, I have to qualify it. I have to remove all the messy data. I have to remove all the garbage requirement, garbage wish list, so that the solution which I'm going to implement will have the precise validated requirement list, which I can take you to the solution architect and get the solution built for me, right? Okay. I believe there are no confusions, so I'll go ahead. So we're trying to understand what BA do. So let's try to understand what is business analyst, right? So it is a practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs. So defining needs is the requirements, right? And recommending solutions that deliver value to the stakeholder. Okay, now let's try to understand in depth. It is a practice. They say it's a practice. So it's a regular working culture. That's what we do. That's what we do day in, day out. So we are trying to defining the needs. We are trying to validate the requirement. We are trying to understand requirement in a depth and build solution against all those requirements. So even if a single requirement got skipped, right, we couldn't build the solution, or the solution won't be complete, right? The solution can be built over the phases, solution can be built over the timeline, but still missing requirement is not at all a good virtue anywhere. So we need to make sure we collect all the requirement, we build these requirement, validate these requirements, and then recommend a solution. Now how we do it? We do this thing with high level diagram. Why high level? Because I am not a technical person. I am an analyst. I basically validate the requirement. I'll try to understand your business and try to provide a business solution. That's what we do as an analyst, right? So business analyst enables an enterprise, means an organization like Infosys or State Farm, to articulate need and the rationale for change, to design and describe the solution that can deliver value, right? Because State Farm is going to spend some money to build this solution, right? And Infosys as a technical partner will build certain things by themselves, build certain things within their team, so that which will support State Farm to achieve that business value, right? So this business value is what exactly get translated to the solution, get translated to a business value. So we are simplifying the business of attendance management at State Farm in our normal scenario. Do you understand this, or any confusion? What I've said here is we are trying to solve a business problem of a State Farm with Infosys as a development partner company, right? These are good words. These are the technical words which we need to understand whenever we speak. Definition is a bit of collection of a technical word where we try to depict the processes in the words. We try to depict the complete process, right? So here what we are trying to say, business analysis is a practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to the stakeholders. Now, stakeholders, some of the stakeholders are at State Farm, some of the stakeholders at Infosys as well. So, as in working of two independent organizations, I am trying to support these stakeholders for delivering the business value. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions for me at this moment? Have you understood what you mean by? Yeah, please go ahead.
No, I'm good.
You're okay, right? You understand the words. What do you mean by business value? What do you mean by stakeholders?
Yes, yes.
Great, great. Anybody have any confusion on these?
No, we are good.
Okay. Madhuri ma'am, have you understood what you mean by business value?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Please feel free to ask if you have any confusions on these words, because these are the words which we are going to use day in day out as a business analyst, right? So we are trying to put our shoes fit in the shoes, right? That's what the English phrase is. So let's try. We need to get better with English, because that's what we do. The better you use these heavy words, the better the document will look like. Believe me. And in last workshop there are quite a few good good presentation of their overall workshop result presentation, so that we understand quite a few of us really learned overall how to use these words effectively, believe me, and we'll learn again, no problem in that. Okay, so business analysis is performed on variety of initiative within an enterprise. So there are some tools, there are some activities which we need to perform to make sure we collect all the requirement, we validate all the requirement, we put it or we list down the requirement in some documentation, we build some diagram to represent it effectively, and then share across the organizations so that they can start building those solutions, right? That's how the overall process is. Now this initiative can be strategic, tactical, or operational. So there could be a strategic BA, there could be a tactical BA. Yeah, that's not a role, but yeah, you can act as a technical solution provider, and there can be operational solution providers. So there could be operational BA, but normally you are a strategic BA or you are just BA. That's how the label is overall. So let's talk about just BA, which can be strategic whenever the time comes. Okay, so business analyst may be performed within the boundaries of a project or throughout the enterprise evolution and continuous improvement, right? It can be used to understand the current state, define the future state, and to determine the activities required to move from a current to the future state. So let me try to make you understand this. What I'm trying here, we are trying to enhance attendance management system of a State Farm, right? So we are taking business solution to a new level with adoption of all new technologies available in the market. We're trying to adopt this technology to build a solution for State Farm to have a leak-proof attendance management system. Okay, so what we do here, we are trying to understand the current stage, we are trying to understand the background of a client and take it to a future state, to define a future solution for them, so that there won't be any problem. The solution will be available 24/7. The solution will be available on the cloud. They have all the restrictions and the security requirements in place, and so on and so forth, right? So how we build this solution is basically the BA's idea, BA's vision. BA own this solution, BA build this solution within his thought process, right? So that's what we do as in BA. So that's what end-to-end work of a BA is. So as of today, I believe this is the overall takeaway. So what BA does, BA understand the requirements, BA lists down the requirement, BA validates the requirement, BA builds a document called System Requirement Specification. Okay, this is a word template, so I have to fill in the blanks, right? So in the chapter 1, I'll fill business requirement summary. So what does business requirement summary do? I'll collect the requirement from all the stakeholders within State Farm, including my sales manager's suggestions, and build this business requirement summary. It can be as simple as bullet point and can be explained in couple of words, couple of sentences if I feel the need for it, because I need to present these solutions to the stakeholder before their approval. Yes, we need an approval on the document, because as a person, I might put some flaws, I might validate the wrong requirement. It happens. So we have an approval process. So as an BA, you need to present this SRS to group of people where they say, okay, approved, 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 and they'll sign a check to execute or build this solution. That's how it works in a normal way, right? You want certain things, you get the check signed by your father, your husband, or you yourself sign a check to procure anything, right? So this is a kind of building, procuring a new solution. So that's how it works in overall day-to-day life, right? Any confusion as far as BA workings goes from anybody? Now I want you to basically share in your words what you feel what BA does, right? Let's go one by one. Madhuri ma'am, do you want to go first? What do you think a BA does in your words? I don't want means you can use the words which we've discussed, but if you use your word, that be well and good also. So what do you understand by what BA does day in day out?
Basically collect the data and process it.
You need to unmute before speaking, ma'am. Yes, could you please explain in your word what do you mean by what does BA does? What BA does day in day out? Please go ahead.
Sorry, I can.
Come again, ma'am. We couldn't hear you.
Sorry, I can't.
Oh, okay, no problem. Let's hear from others. Okay, Pavni ma'am, do you want to go first? See,
Yeah.
there's no wrong or right here. We are trying to understand as a person what BA does, and this is important because that's what we're going to learn, right? So unless you don't know what we are going to learn, it's like I'm throwing the knowledge and nobody is there to capture. So it's really not the correct way to do it, right? So let's try to understand from you as a person what you understood by a BA. What does BA does day in day out? Pavni ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah. First, we'll get the requirements from the stakeholders, like the state farm. You said there's the state
Right.
farm. So we
Get the requirements and put it in a jar.
put it in the chart and all everything. And what? Sorry, what you laughed? Or I did say anything wrong about this?
No. The way I see, we collect the requirement. That statement is right. But could you please try to explain what we do with those requirements, right? Business analyst.
We can analyze that and we can improve that. What needs more to get that. So we can analyze that and we can note down in that SRS form. So how you going to
Correct.
how to going to prove that what they needs that. And we can give we can go for you said that you can use a couple of things to define them, define that solutions like in use case and HLD, and we'll go through that process. And yeah, did I say correct?
Great. You explained it very well. Believe me.
Yeah.
Right.
So we can
So
go through that.
requirement is a need. Requirement is a business need. Perfectly. Please go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, we can go through the process. And yeah, if they need anything else to more, so we can add more things to that, what they need about that solutions for that from stakeholders. So we can go through the steps and yeah, we can give it that. Okay, we
Build that SRS document to present.
what is
We can build that SRS document to present to
yes,
the
we can build the
stakeholders.
SRS document to give that to lead who gave that work to us. So we can give it to back them, and they can check it at all the things and go and give it to back to the stakeholders. So I understand this.
Perfect.
So yeah.
Ekdam correct. Means that's what the best thing. And in your words, because I know now you understood what PA does, right? Now I
Yeah.
want to support you with all my might so that you can do this thing on your own. That's the overall intention, right?
Yes.
Rudra, do you want to go next, please? Thanks, Pawni ma'am. That's really perfect. Thanks a lot.
I
Okay.
think
Thank
she
you.
covered it perfectly. Like that was
No,
exactly.
you need to explain in your words.
Okay.
Please.
So business analysts would take all the requirements from the client and cater it to them, and also I want to say consolidates the data, makes it uh, I guess correct. No, not correct. Makes it usable for
Validate.
the business. And yeah,
Let's
I
go
mean,
step by step. Okay.
yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
So I guess it'd be using the data to progress the business more and more, and to keep the business functioning, progressing more and more. Honestly, that's a BA's job.
Great. See, yes, Rudra added icing on the top saying we are basically kind of evolving business and the evolution depends on such type of projects, such type of solutions. That's really great. It's a kind of thinking to the next step as well. So what we do, we build these solutions to make the business more efficient, more effective, to reduce the leakages, to reduce the unnecessary spending, so that the business is perfectly aligned with the business processes, right? So that's really great. Thanks, Rudra. So I believe you understand what BA does, right? So let's try to understand from Rupanjali madam. Could you please, express in your word what BA does, ma'am?
Yeah, sure. So what I understand, the BA work is, to understand what is the requirement of the stakeholders and analyze it and get the documentation done, so that whatever their requirements are, it will be in a proper document which can understand by the stakeholders and the supervisor and maybe the developers, and to
Right. Wow.
get the best solution out of it.
Perfect. Great. So, ma'am explained in the most simplest possible way, and that's really good. Means, take the requirements, validate them, put it in documents, which is, supplied by my company where I'm working for, present it to the stakeholder, get it approved, and, give it to the development team to build that solution. That's the end-to-end processes what BA does, right? So, Ati ma'am, could you please go ahead and, try to explain in your word?
Yeah, sure. First of
Please.
all, he will collect and gather all information from stakeholders. He will try not to miss out any information. He will
Wow,
record.
great.
He will take record means minutes of the meeting, and he will try to create scope and requirements to gather all the information together. Then he will try prepare system requirement summary SRS to fill all that information under the business requirement templates.
Right.
Then
Wow.
he will take help from the senior authorities like his PM or CEO, as you said. Then he will collect all the information in totally the means what you say, the technical document
Diagrams
type.
or technical tools, let's say. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he will pass on that information to developer.
To build the solutions. Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. Have you worked in IT, ma'am, by any chance? Information technology?
No.
Okay, because you explained it so well. Means
Oh,
you
thank
use
you.
those correct words and at correct time. So thanks to you. So it's
Thank you.
really great, because this will make our life much easier if you start using those words. And believe me, it's not a necessity, but it's a representation of a senior BA. So to use those words which we normally, me as an IT person or the IT fraternity uses, so it makes our life quite easier once you understand them. Right. Thanks a lot for that.
Thank you.
Usha ma'am, could you please go ahead? Madhuri ma'am, do you want to go ahead? Do you want to go ahead first? Yeah, please.
I will miss. I will
Yeah, put it in your words, and there's no right or wrong. There could be gaps, so please don't understand. And it's your first day, so everything is correct for you. Please go ahead.
I'm really getting familiar to these words.
Yes, you don't have
So,
to use those words, ma'am. Please feel free to explain in your own words.
so basically, we are collecting the information, or you can say data from the um,
Client,
client,
right?
and putting in like
In
spreadsheet
a
kind of
document.
thingy, uh, and sorry,
No, it's okay. Thinking is okay, no problem. Thinking means we are trying to put in efforts. So please, take your time. There's no hurry as such.
and
Or
sorry,
let's
I'm
do,
not
yeah,
coming
let's write it
with the
down
words.
somewhere. Sorry, please go ahead.
And
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I
No, it's
can.
nothing to be sorry about. It's a part and parcel of learning. So please don't worry. Please go ahead.
And make it and giving them a solution,
Uh-huh.
solution to the stakeholder, I think.
Yes, rather discuss the solution with the stakeholder, because we been as the end of our overall BA life cycle, we present these solutions within our group, so that we can suggest this solution to the stakeholder, and once they approve it, we start building it. That's how it happens.
Yes,
Okay. So
yes.
please don't worry. And what I would really request you to sit down after this class and try to
Mm-hmm.
jot down these steps, so that you can make it better, or make it in your own words. You got the process overall. That's what I can understand right now. But I want you to put down some steps, and it will help you, believe me. Right, next class
Yes.
we can discuss those steps, whatever you written down, because I can understand it's your first class and there are a lot to learn, frankly speaking. So please don't worry. Okay, Usha ma'am, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, could you please explain in your word what BA does?
Yes, BA actually in the first meeting he takes all the information from the stakeholders, then he'll document it in maybe sometimes he do the audio so that he'll not miss out anything, and sometime if it's not allowed they'll just write all the bullets points, the minutes of the meeting. So once that is
Okay, just nowadays it's all understood. Whenever we do a business requirement, it's all recorded, but you can expressly mention if you feel that way.
yes,
Good thing.
without
That's an
information,
developer. Yeah.
without the concern we cannot do the audio or video calls, so we need the
So,
consent of the
okay.
stakeholders or anybody.
Perfect way. Yeah. Please go.
Yes, so once we get all the requirement from the stakeholder, we just analyze it, we document it in a proper way. We'll make an SRS, and we'll try to give the best solutions to the program manager or the project managers for
Mhm.
the development. So that they can provide that SRS to the development team.
Perfect. So this is end-to-end, all in technical words, always bells and whistles. Perfect. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
No problem.
So everybody is understood the requirement, right? And I'm really thankful to you for all your efforts. And Pavni ma'am, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I have small doubt in this. Actually, you said that BRS, like Business Requirement System, and SRS, like System Requirement Specifications. So
Right.
why not use BRS instead of SRS?
Great question.
What is
Great
the
question.
difference between those
Yes.
two?
It's really $100 question. Believe me. See, uh, this is more more in line with the result rather than the target source. Business is giving you requirement, right? They give you
Yeah.
something called business BRD, business requirement document to you. Now we'll understand this process in depth as and when we go further. So business requirement documents comes to you. Those are those 6-7 bullet points which came to you by email. That can be labeled as BRD. There's a template for that. Now, why we call this system requirement specification? Because this is a requirement of a system is going to get built, right? We are trying to build a solution. We are trying to architect a solution. Architect might not be a right word, even design might not be a right word, because this is a thought process right now which we are conceiving. We are trying to conceive the vision of a solution. It might not have all the end results, whatever we require, but it's a start. You are nurturing a small baby called solution, right? So you are giving birth. Believe me, that's how they perceive it. Even in a BA book, that's how they put it. You are giving birth to a baby, which is by birth is not all what he needs to be a human, right? He can't eat on his own, he can't drink on his own, and blah blah stuff. So you are delivering a baby which is very nascent stage. This solution is in very nascent stage, from where we need to nurture it. We need to apply it with the technology, apply it with all the third-party tools like iris scanner, body scanner, this, that, and all, and then it will be a solution. So you envision the solution, you you do the inception part, you do the understanding part of it, and then convert this solution to for the business requirements, right? So we are trying to collect requirements to build a solution. So that's why we are trying to collect a system. So solution is normally labeled as a system in a technical word. So that's why these are system requirement specification. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes. But the same time, we have a template in SRS too, right?
Yeah, this is what the SRS is all about, system requirement specification.
Yeah, then you are saying that in BRD also there is another template. You are saying that, right?
Yeah, BRD is what we get from the client.
We
So the
get from the client, okay,
right,
and
yeah.
not
And BRD,
okay. We are creating the SRS template, and BRD we are getting from the stakeholders. The template is
right,
getting from the stakeholders. Okay.
yeah. Okay, let me explain what is stakeholders. Okay, stakeholder are all the party who have interest in the solution. So within Infosys, as an BA, I am a stakeholder. Could you understand? Means so stakeholder is very generic term. It's like every interested party in the world. So whoever wants to support your solution, as an the attendance management system enhancement for State Farm is a stakeholder. A peon in a State Farm is a stakeholder. Office boy in a State Farm which is going to watch for the ID scanner is a stakeholder. So stakeholder is a generic term. You can say client, you can say us as an organization, or Infosys or State Farm. That's why we given this specific name, right? So you can use this name. You understand, right? State Farm is a company, the headquarters in Urbana-Champaign, Illinois, where they have their headquarters. It's a big insurance company. It's really, you can have a look at their website as well. I worked with this company when I was with Patni, when I was in St. Louis. So, I gone to their offices quite a few times. That's why I can relate to the actual scenario. Or you can take any office for that matters where you normally visit. So you can understand the overall, or you can picture that solution, how it can be implemented for a better attendance management system. That's the overall, the take here, right? So stakeholder is quite generic term. So we normally use client because when you say whatever client has given, right? Client as in VPHR who is going to give me this BRD, business requirement document. So what are the business requirement by them? We are providing a solution as an Infosys to State Farm. So I am a development partner. Those are my client as in State Farm. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. So if you could please, explain again, that'll be great help.
Yeah. Actually, you said that stakeholders. I used that before. That what is the difference between that BRD and SRS? Right. There's a stakeholders. Right. Every work we call as a stakeholders. But
right.
Here
Everybody in every interested party.
Yeah. Yes. Include what we got the requirement. So who are including into that requirements? So called as a stakeholder.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting from the State Farm that BRD, and we are implementing into the SRS. That's right. Yeah, BRD means that's what you said, I think.
Right. So BRD is my base document where my SRS coming from. So SRS is based on BRD in an actual scenario. That's how it happens. Because SRS explain the requirement mentioned in the BRD one by one.
Yes.
Okay. Great. So you understood, right? No
Yeah,
confusion now.
I got it there. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Most
Stop.
welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe we understood what BA does. Now we want to learn how to be an BA, how we can be the best possible BA in the world, right? And that's what we're going to start learning from today. This is what we understood the definition. Now, yeah, as in generic, what you can say, generic symbolism, there are many ways and means how the BA is labeled. Labeled in the sense, the roles and responsibility, or trying to understand how BA is, what you can say, yeah, label is the right word. Let's not use any other word. So we were trying to understand what are the different roles, what are the different hats you put on whenever you work in a given company, right? You can be called as business architect because you architect us. You don't go to a level where I actually, start labeling the technicalities, start labeling the, classes and, the parts and everything. But as an, analyst, I start the overall thought process for a solution, right? Now, let's try to understand business system analyst. We understood what it does, right? Now, what data analyst does? Data analysts are the people who normally analyze the data. Whatever we collect as an information, that's data, right? Each and every information is a data. Data is normally validated information. That's how the computer guys define data. Data is a validated information. So you analyze the validated requirement. So you are a business analyst. Now, enterprise analyst. Enterprise is a better word for an organization. So organizations having offices multiple places called an enterprise. So I'm doing analysis for an enterprise like State Farm, which have offices in 16 different countries or 15. I don't know exact number though, but yes, they have offices in many countries. So I'm working with the enterprise. I'm analyzing a requirement of an enterprise. I am a management consultant because I am being consulted by the management of State Farm as well as Infosys, right? I closely work with task bosses to provide them with the vision and mission of a new solution. So that's how I'm a crucial person, crucial part of the team, right? I'm a process analyst. I do process analyzing day in, day out. Why? Because that's the process. The solution itself includes quite a few processes to be improved and implemented, right? Could you understand what I'm trying to say here? We are building new processes, we are inventing new processes, we are building new solutions, right? So I do these things day in, day out. That's my job. So that's why I can be called as a process analyst. I am also a product manager. I do manages new product, I envision new product, I basically kickstart the new product development. So that's why I can be a product manager, I can be a product owner, because only BA knows the length and breadth of a given product or given project or a given support services, right? So I can be a product owner. Product owner is a person who has the knowledge of end to end for a given product or for a given solution or for a given services, right? So PA can be called as a product owner for attendance management system enhancement of a SETWAM. So it could be a product owner. You are requirement engineer, right? We collect requirement, we validate requirement, we prioritize the requirement, we build those requisitive scenarios and all those things, right? And we are system analysts as well, because we have to build a solution with a given implementation plan. We build systems, we build support solutions. So we are a system analyst, right? These are the different hats or labels get attached with me whenever I start working as a business analyst. Does that make sense? Anybody have any confusion at this moment?
I'm good.
I'll take it nobody has any question or confusion. I'll try to share these things, this presentation as well, so that you can, go through these things, and, then we can quickly review it tomorrow, right? So let's try to go ahead. So I believe we understand what it does. Now let's try to understand what are the different analysis we do, right? So we are basically into business analytics, that we seen. It's also called as business intelligence. We build intelligence, right? We build a solution where these can make the life easy for many people. That's how the intelligence is labeled, right? To make our life easy, to evolve as a human. That's what the intelligence is all about, right? So we build system intelligence, we build decision science, we build some solution which can decide certain fact, which can make the life easier for many of the operations and executive people, right? We are into data science because we analyze the data, we validate the data, we present the data. Data science is a evolutionary term which is still getting defined. It's still not yet defined. But the next step as a business analyst, you can be a data science. Yes, there are lots of technical things in data science because it's a research position, right? As far as BA goes, it's an operational positions. You normally do operations. Research is hardly 15 to 20% at the max. Overall, we do operational jugglery, right? We try to understand requirement, we try to elicit the requirement, we try to evolve the requirement, we build some solution for each and every of such requirement. We draw something called HLD, we draw something called use case diagram to understand each and every of these requirement and the functionality in depth, right? And we do present some data in good Excel sheets. That's what we do, right? We do data mining, we do research, right? We do research on whatever solution I'm going to present, whatever different options of solution which I can present to a client. So that's what I do. And there are many such labels. So don't get bogged down or don't get intrigued by such labels. They come in your way whenever you start working, right? And there are some, many differences, like, uh, um, what we do, we turn the data into a useful insight. We make sense, we collect the requirement, and we build a solution. We build a concise solution for my client, right? Now, what are the different type of analytics? We have something called descriptive analysis. What it does, it's try to understand what happened. So what are the situation have been just, what are the events to be described which have happened in the past and how to cope up with them. Then there's something called predictive analysis. So how things will happen, learning from the historical facts and figures, we try to predict how what might happen next. These are normally what you call environmental scientists or the what do you call those things, weather forecasting type of scientist, right? So those type of analytics what we're talking about. And there's a perspective analysis. What we should do, this is what all the BA does. We do a perspective analysis. We analyze the requirement, we build a solution, we envision a solution, we try to solve each and every problem given by client to me, and this is what we should do. We build a list of solutions for a given requirement. Does that make sense? Could we understand these labels now? Yeah, we are trying to learn some really difficult word in the analytics world, and these are the few of them. Anybody have any confusion at this moment?
And as meteorologist. No.
Come again, please.
Meteorologist and
oh yeah, sorry, I couldn't recall that word. Thanks a lot for that, Rudra. Yes, these are meteorologists, what we call weather scientists or weather analyst. Thanks for that. Okay, now let's try to understand descriptive, predictive. Descriptive, we try to understand what were the sales. So what were the sales in last year, last year, what were the expected sales. This is how you build the trends. So this is a kind of trend analysis, that's what they call. Okay, what was the market share, what is the expected of market share, and so on and so forth. These terminology you might have heard. So okay, we do analyze such terminology. Okay, so what's the product was most popular, what the product we should market it, so where it can be more popular, and so on and so forth. So these type of analysis we do, but mostly we do something called prescriptive analysis day in day out. So we are normally try to work on a solution. So if you work in something like Infosys, TCS of the world, we normally be a prescriptive analyst. That's what it matters. Now let's try to understand. Wow, am I going too fast or something? Because I believe we are still at 9 o'clock. And this was what I thought, like, kind of end of the class today, but no problem. Am I talking too fast for anybody? Please, feel to mention such things. Am I good with the speed?
No, you are good, I guess.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? I believe, Madhuri ma'am will be the right person to ask this question. Please go ahead, ma'am.
You are good. You are good.
Okay, thanks a lot. And please stop me if I'm going too fast. That's normal kind of trainers we try to run. So please
Sure.
stop me if I'm going fast. Yeah, thank you. So now we are going to the actual practicability of a solution giving, right? So what we are doing, we are trying to understand how a business analyst builds a solution. Okay, what we do. So business analyst requirement. What is the requirement? Why do I want it? Or rather, what do I want it? Why and what are the what are the needs, right? So stakeholder requirement. So stakeholder, okay, I'll try to define again. Stakeholder is a person who have a interest in a given scenario, given solution, right? So stakeholder, what are the needs? So stakeholder normally share their needs with us. So it can be something like VPHR sending a mail to a sales manager in my company, Infosys, and me, I'm working as a business analyst, get those requirements, get those 9-10 bullet points, which I think are validated requirements from their side. Now, as a business analyst, I start working on that. I start understanding those requirements. I start thinking about the solution for those 8 to 10 needs, whatever shared by the stakeholder, right? And this is what we can call design also. This is basically envisioning. This is like building a vision. This is trying to build a system requirements or business requirement summary. So what business is looking for is what I'm trying to elaborate. I'm trying to elicit, right? I'm trying to build what do I want, how to build a solution, right? So what solution should do, and those scenarios, and then build this requirement, list this requirement, prioritize the conditions, build this scenario so that I built a document called System Requirement Specification. I built some high-level diagram called HLD. I built some really good-looking, use case diagram or the explanation for each and every functionality, so that I can get it approved and hand it over to the development team, so that they can start working on the overall solution designing, solution architecting, because there are these senior people who does solution designing, who does solution architecting to make it a complete good looking solution, better solution to solve all the requirements which I have collected as an BA. Okay, does that make sense? Does that in the same lines what we were discussed earlier? Any confusion at this moment? Okay, great. Let's go next slide. Okay, now let's try to understand what is the requirement life cycle. This is important because we are building requirement, right? So how do we build requirement? The list of 8 to 10 requirement came from a client in a BRD, in an email, or over the conference, whatever it may be, or in a minutes of meeting as well, for that matters. Okay, so what does a requirement tell you? A requirement basically is a proposition. Requirement can be, we want to enhance our attendance management system, or we want to enhance the way we record attendance, as simple as that, right? We want to make it foolproof, we want to make it available 24/7, we want to make it include the leave management, we want to understand on a second level when somebody enters our office, so the attendance is marked automatically. So those kind of, these are the requirements, these are the propositions came from a client to a development partner saying, okay, we want to do something, could you do it for us? Of course, Infosys will say, yes, we will do it for you at certain cost. So how does that cost is analyzed after building, after creating SRS, the solution architect or the solution designers build the solution, they create a solution to a level where the cost can be attached. So what are the things to be procured? What is the software development cost? How many resources do we need? How many hours these resources will pay? How much salary Infosys will pay to them? And then there are something called profit margins, these tax, that tax, and then it will come to a level. Where I build a document calling a complete requirement proposition. So what it include? It will include a complete requirement to be supported for a given solutions, right? So how do I started? I started with something called business requirement document, or a simple email, or a requirement collected from a on a conference call, whenever I was talking to a client, I build this list of requirement. I will validate them. I will elicit them. I'll build a document called System Requirement Specification. This is a template given by Infosys to me, and we discussed, right, why we use template. It's a uniformly designed document with all those bells and whistles, with all those legal requirement, legal copyright material, stamp, logos, this, that, my organizational colors, my organizational logo, the logo of State Farm. This has been put by the organization for me. So I am just filling the blank. So the first blank I fill in is basically name the solution. As a business analyst, I have the really great duty, great responsibility on me to label the solution. So how do I label the solutions? As far as our experience, I label the solution as enhancement in attendance management system from Infosys, and there will be my name as a business analyst, author of this document, right? We maintain these things, we build this thing, we mention this thing, just to build something called traceability. Now let's try to understand what is traceability. Traceability is basically a ground where I can trace back the origin, right? So humanity traceability is what we can trace back to Adams, Eves, and those words. So this is what we believe we came from. This is how we believe we grown from. Well, there are different culture and there were different thought processes, so let's not go into that. But as a genre, we trace back to the origin. Okay, so whatever inclusions have been made in business requirement document, BRD, I elicit those in my SRS, right? So I trace the requirement one step back to the BRD or to the email or to the conference call, right? So conference call is a superficial entity. So I trace back to a minutes of meeting. So minutes of meeting is a document which is shared by a client to me. Whoever arranges the meeting, whoever does the logistic of a meeting, like setting up the number, setting up the Zoom, conference, or all those things. So it can be my sales manager, it can be me as well. Even I do minutes of meeting sometimes. Okay, I do minutes of for every meeting which I attend, right? That's a kind of good habit. I'll share a minutes of meeting a template with you also. Why template? It gives a uniformity, it gives a complete discipline. So whenever I'm sharing this document with somebody, everybody in the organizations can understand which goes where, which chapter should come first, which chapter should come next, and what that chapter does reflects to. So this is a kind of building uniformity. So I build or I trace this requirement starting from the source. Then how do I elicitate it? What are the solution I support? I want to build for such requirement, and so on and so forth. This traceability, we need to understand in depth how it's get converted to the actual solution, and how we have the validation, verification requirement. That's also we're going to learn in our next training capsule called QA/QC, and then we're going to understand how to track, how to discipline this traceability in Scrum, the the Agile Scrum type of those templatization things. Okay, then I maintain requirement. I evolve requirement. I take the requirement from the BRD, I explain it, I elicit them, I build some solution. One requirement can have many solutions, or many requirement can have one solution. This is a normal life. This is how it works, right? So I maintain the requirements, I refer the requirement, I trace the requirement, I prioritize the requirement. As an visionary, I build these requirement documents, I build these solutions, I build this basically solution architecture, or a high level solution architecture. I'm not an architect, I am a business analyst. So what I do, I create high level diagrams, I create some HLDs. That's how it referred in the general word. So high level diagrams is basically a bird's eye view of a solution, and as an BA analyst, I give birth to the solution, right? That's what we talk about. It's in a nascent stage, but still I create this solution from scratch, from the requirement to solutionizing. So initial thought process are normally generated by BA. That's the 95% of the scenario overall. Okay, there can be additions, there can be subtraction, there can be modification, but the BA conceives the solution, it delivers the solution like a nascent baby. That's the best thing I do as an BA. That's why BA are critical. BA are the most important fraternity in solutioning, believe me, and they are really appreciated because we normally work with many senior people. We get appreciated easily. Believe me, if you want to understand which is the most appreciative positions in the overall project fraternity or product fraternity, business analyst, because they are visible, they start thinking about the solution. So even if you can suggest a small thing, it can earn or it can save millions and billions for this organization which you are working with, like Infosys, State Farm, or TCS of the world, right? Does anybody have any confusion, contradictions to my thought process? Does anybody want to ask any questions at this moment?
Um, I have one quick question. So the stakeholders, do we talk to them or do we just get the requirements from them?
Really great question, Rudra, and thanks for asking me that. Yes, we talk to them. There are various techniques we normally use. We're going to learn each of those techniques. There are, I think, around 15 odd techniques which we are going to learn how to talk to stakeholder. Because stakeholder, as I told you, right, these are all parties interested. So me as an BA, I'm also stakeholder. My sales manager in my Infosys is also a stakeholder. Right now, how to talk to them? For each of these stakeholders, we can have a joint call, we can have an independent interviewing, we can have some meeting called brainstorming, and there are many other ways and means we do it. We'll learn in depth, believe me. But yes, we don't say talk, we say discuss, we say build requirement or clarify requirement. That's how we put it. But yes, talk is the actual correct scenario in a layman's term. Does that resolve your confusion?
Yes.
Okay, great. No problem. Thanks. It's really great question, believe me. Okay, we're going to have a look at each and every of these aspects in depth later in the training, right? Okay, now I prioritize the requirement, I assess the requirement changes. So whenever, if by mistake I have mentioned an additional requirement, and which VPHR form, state form says no, this is not right, I need a green color here, not the red one. So this also happens. So I do requirement change because I'm an adaptive person. Even nowadays, project management methodologies are adaptive to the client. So I change the requirement, I assess the requirement, I change the requirement in a given parameter. It's not like we are building HR system one day and next day we are trying to build an ERP. No. That is not the right way to do it, and that will not happen. For that, I might need to scrap the attendance management system and then start thinking on something called ERP or something called any other solutions, right? So I have a permissible limit of assessing and changing the requirement up to a level, and we'll understand how that thing works, right? This is basically a QC matter. Then we approve requirement. Yes, it's my responsibility as an BA to approve the SRS as a document from from specific persons in Infosys as well as in State Farm. Okay, so approval is a part and parcel of a responsibility which what BA does. We'll go to have a look at this also in depth. Then scope flexibility. What do you mean by scope flexibility? We talked about requirement changes, right? So how much scope is flexible to change? That as an BA, I need to understand. I'll make sure I'm well within my boundary. This is about the quality work of a BA, right? Then how to build requirement and the scope, how to build that relation, how to build those traceability, how to check these knowledges, how to validate whatever knowledges I got from working within my organizations or from State Farm for that matters. That's I'm going to check, right? Now, I think, I believe it's too much for today. So let's stop here. Okay. I'll share these 10-15 slides with you so that you can revisit this slide. And from day after tomorrow, we'll revisit this thing quickly. Okay. And as an homework, try to write down what business analyst does, right? Simple English. I think you explain it quite well, but let's try to write it down because writing makes it more permanent in my mind, right? So I'll try to build a list, something like this. You can use something like Excel sheet, simple, saying what business analyst does day by day, and we'll try to cope up to whatever tools and techniques he's needed in our subsequent training. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions, or anybody want to ask anything?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Please feel free to ask questions whenever you have questions, so that we can discuss it then and there. So let's stop here, and let me share these 11 12 slides to you, with you, so that you can go with through them, and then we can go. We will have our next revision class day after tomorrow, right? Tomorrow we have our normal class, and please feel free to join that class as well. It'll look like a bit advanced to you in case you are starting today, like like Madhuri ma'am. But yes, please don't worry about that. You can be a silent listener, or you can ask question if you feel like to be cleared then and there. No problem with that. I'm quite open person, so we grow together, we learn together, right? So that's how I am. um, do anybody have any questions for me at this moment?
Yeah.
Okay, let's close this session now. Sorry, yeah, please go ahead.
So this class will be on Tuesday and Thursday, right?
Yeah, whatever the gaps we had.
Okay, Tuesday,
I believe
Thursday,
yes.
Saturday.
Yes, Tuesday night, Thursday
Thursday
night,
night.
and Saturday night. That's right.
Okay, all right, cool.
Sure.
Yes, because it's different class numbers and stuff. So
No, it's an alternate. That's what we have in a logistical capacity.
okay.
Okay. So yeah,
All right.
please bear with
Thank
me
you.
on that. Sure. Chalo. Thanks a lot. Have a good night, and do write it down. And if you write it down right now, that'll be really best thing to do, right? Just write down the step. What do you feel BA does? That's all we want. And let's discuss one by one in the next class, so that we can understand better, we can learn better. Okay, and then we can go to the tools and techniques, and how we do it, what's the best way to do it, what are the industry best practices, and so on and so forth. Okay, sure. Thanks a lot, for all your time and efforts. Let's try to learn together, and let's try to be a good BA.
Thank you, Ravindra.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ravi.
Thank you.
I'll stop the
Good
meeting
morning.
now.
Yeah.
Pardon me,
Bye.
you have a question?
One question.
Anybody have any question for me?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, chalo. Good night. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.